Hi, Statesman Nation. Welcome back to the first edition of Inside the Playbook in 2020. We've been gone for about a month. Definitely missed talking to you and talking Statesman Athletics with my guys Justin and Jared here. So I'm going to try to talk as least as possible because my throat is obviously pretty shot. But guys, before we, later on the show, we'll talk wrestling. But right now, right out of the gate, let's talk a little basketball. Let's talk a little wrestling. We got some track from last weekend. So. Jared, I'm actually going to let you start off with men's basketball. A couple games just in the last few days.
Yeah, they hosted Peru State, a game which the Statesmen were probably expected to win, but Peru State is a very, very tough program, particularly in the last couple of years. They match up well with us. They got a good system over there. They're tough. They're gritty. But the Statesmen really, they came out, and I believe they led.
At 26, I think, at one point in the first half.
Yeah. Like they came out hot in the first half, led by 26 before the half, and they took a 64-38 lead in the first half. They began to extend the lead in the second half. They opened up as big as a 28-point margin about the 17-minute mark. But the Bobcats, doing what they did, they gritted it out. They kind of weathered the storm and found their way back to cut the lead just 11 with 4 minutes remaining, and then 6 straight points from Kamari Newman got the Statesman back on track and really just put the nail in the coffin for them. Great scoring outputs by Dexter Hood. He led the team with 25. Gehring and Newman each had 20. Gehring played really well, I thought. He was actually, I believe, 7 of 7 or 8 of his first 8 from the field. I think he was 9 of 10 overall in the game or somewhere around there.
That was probably his best game of the year by far.
Yeah, he had it all going, post moves, a couple dunks in transition.
Yeah.
And then Kevion Blaylock notched his first double-double as a member of the Statesmen. He had 13 points and 10 rebounds. I mean, just based on what we've seen from him over the last couple of games, them getting a lot better, over the break with him becoming eligible. I mean, they were dang good before. They just got even better because he can play any position on the court. He can really do it all. I mean, he can go and give you a double-double any night. 13 and 10 for him. Maud Pender stood on both sides of the ball. Coach Henry was very pleased with him and Malik coming off the bench and playing some defense, particularly when things were getting tough there at the end against Peru State. But he had 10 points as well, so he was getting it done on the offensive end. Chance Crusoe didn't score, but he didn't need to. It's kind of been his MO. Look, He's going to be a pass-first player. Just get his guys open or hit open guys, pass his guys open. We've seen that so many times. And for those of you that might not understand, the concept of passing somebody open, I mean, you're putting balls in spots to where only another player on the offensive side has a chance of getting it, and he creates for his team, and he had 11 assists. I mean, what more can you say out of the freshman out of St. Louis? And then Eddie Daly, he grabbed 7 rebounds, or Eddie Daly had 6 rebounds. Gehring had 7, so the rebounding was there again from the post guys, and the bench really came up big. Edged them 30-10. It really came up big down the stretch.
Yeah. I'll talk about I think we talked pretty much. You talked pretty much all about that game. It was a great game. It was 1 versus 2 in the conference at that point, and early on it definitely didn't look like there was. I mean, it kind of looked like what we've been expecting is William Penn's way up here and everybody else is well below, and not taking anything away from everybody else. William Penn we're really good.
Yeah.
I mean, we're just
good,
a really
and we're
good team
extremely deep, and the addition of Kevion Blaylock just makes us that much deeper.
I mean, it's a good problem to have, figuring out where to put him in the system, and there's going to be some people that are getting diminished roles because of it, but overall it makes the team a lot better.
And him now being inserted in the starting lineup due to the unfortunate absence of Q Cager, who went down with the sprained ankle a couple weeks back. I talked to Q the other day. He said that he's out for at least another week or so. Obviously, when he comes back, this team will be just
It's just constant. You just whoever you're putting in is just going to be.
I mean,
good.
I mean, me and Kylie Broadway were talking about it the other day. It's like we literally have 2 starting lineups that can go in, and that's kind of the way we played when we were at Culver Stockton. We kind of ran with almost 2 starting lineups there in the first half, and those two lineups, I mean, they could easily be interchanged.
Oh, yeah.
And if we had those two starting lineups, those are two starting lineups for two different teams, say like 1A or 1 and 1A, they'd probably be the top two teams in the conference. That's just how incredible it is and what they're doing right now.
Definitely. All right, the women's game preceded the men's game on Monday night, and that was, I didn't mention this, but that was, a couple days of postponement due to weather last weekend, and the women probably wanted to play that game as early as possible after really struggling against Culver Stockton last week, but unfortunately had to wait a couple more days to get another W, but came out not real strong early on, but figured it out in the second quarter. Third quarter was also strong, and was all said and done 77-62. A big win there. Olivia Usher started what has been so far a really big week for her. She had 20 points on 8 of 12 shooting. Brittany West had 12 off the bench. Just a lot of people getting into it. Team shot really well, almost 53%, but struggled in rebounding. Lost 40-34 there and 17-5 offensively, which gave Peru State a chance to at least make it look respectable. As otherwise, if that number is even, William Penn probably wins by 30. They were pretty much dominating every time they went down. They were pretty successful scoring. So it's just nice to see some other individuals stepping up. And again, after that tough Culver Stockton loss on the road, coming back home and just getting a nice victory there. So, team that's right there on the cusp, right sitting, are we going to possibly be able to make nationals? That win was a good one. The win on Wednesday, last night, even better. I'm just going to talk through my voice here, and unless you guys have anything to add, Peru State, I was going to jump into Central Methodist.
Well, yeah, I just wanted to add something. With this team, particularly, you saw in that game against Peru State, a lot of times you hear coaches say, and this is just my opinion, of course, Coach Williamson probably has different thoughts, but you hear a lot of coaches, preach, it's got to start on the defensive end. But so far this season, the defense has been pretty consistent. It hasn't been super great,
right,
but it's been just good and solid all the way through. And for them, it's really just been on the offensive side. You see when they're making shots and when they're getting out transition, getting easy buckets. That's when this team is really the best. No turnovers, no. There's been some mental mistakes at some point, at points this year, and when the offense is really clicking and ball movement's good, not turning the ball over. I believe this is when the team is at its best, and we saw it there against Pre-State.
Yeah, and it was almost better in that first half. They really attacked the zone well that Peru State was running, and they had plenty of times where someone was running right down the lane and got a layup, and they just couldn't drop it for either they were in too far under the basket. There was a defender that just got enough of them, but the first quarter, me and Kylie were talking, it could have been even better for that team. They were really, it looked like they were doing exactly what their coaches wanted to do. They just weren't finishing it off, but it didn't matter. They ended up with a good win.
Yeah, definitely. Well, conversely, kind of going against what your thought was, like, well, if we're making shots, we're going to win and we're going to play our best. Mm-hmm. Last night, we shoot 33%, and you think we're going to probably get destroyed. If you look at that number alone, Central Methodist number 8 in the nation, leading the conference, you think you're going to lose by 40, and we come out with a 62-60 win in overtime against the Eagles. Really wild game. I didn't catch all of it, but just looking at the box score and talking to you a little bit afterwards, just a wild game. I gotta look at my notes because there's just so much that happened late on. We were down by as much as 10 points in the fourth quarter, thinking, okay, at that point they finally punched us and we're going down and we're not coming back up. But battled back, ended up taking the lead in the final 10 seconds, 4 seconds. Olivia Usher had a leaner, gave us the lead 54-53. Central Methodist goes down, gets us to follow them. They have a chance to basically win it on free throws, only make one of them, and then
they shot really bad from the free throw line.
Shot horribly, 8 of 18
night,
overall. Just really tough night for them there. We had to get the ball back, just figure, hold it for a second, we're going to overtime. When we turn it over, give them the ball with 1 second. They fortunately missed that shot. We finally do go to overtime. Then overtime is back and forth. Game all tied up at 59, 5 seconds left. We've got the ball in front court. Brenda Pennington gets the ball in the corner. She gets trapped. You think, all right, well, we're going to the second overtime. She's not going to be able to do anything with it. Just heaves up a three-pointer from the corner, knocks it down. Second time in a little over a month that she's made a huge three-pointer. So go up by 3. There's a collision at midcourt, and the next play gives them an opportunity to only shoot 2 free throws. They make the first, miss the second on purpose, don't come with a rebound, we survive.
Yeah.
But wild. I mean, just lots of opportunities that they could have won it. Now, we also probably could have iced it on our end, possibly. But yeah, like I said, getting outshot 36% to 32%. Both teams shot poorly, so that's hence why we had a chance.
Yeah.
But the bigger part, we won, dominated the rebounding battle, 51-37, 18-7 edge in second chance points, which really was the key for us.
Kind of new for this team this year. They've not been able to get to rebounds most of the time, especially on the offensive end.
Yeah, tracked them down. Kate Ilatello with 13, career high for her in rebounds. Didn't have a great night shooting, but found a different way to step up. Team had 24 turnovers. Again, you figure 24 turnovers, 32%. You're losing by a ton, and somehow we just gritted out a victory. So Pennington with 18, Usher with another 15. Peasley, who leads the nation, she's not even starting, but she's leading the nation in three-point percentage, like a good 10, 11% higher than anybody else, over 60%. She was 3 for 5 on three-pointers and 9 points. So people stepped up and found a way, and especially on the road at Central Methodist, a huge signature win there.
A couple key plays also. I was talking to Coach Williamson a minute ago, and I just asked him, what were some of the keys to that game towards the end there, and he's like, Autumn took a huge charge late in overtime. That kind of shifted momentum.
There was a couple charges they took where they just planted their feet in the key, and Central Methodist bowled them right over.
And we've seen Autumn come up again and again taking those charges. She's not afraid to stand in anybody's way and take some contact. And then Kate Ilatello also came up and hit a clutch 3 there. I believe it was in overtime.
I think it was right at the start of overtime, didn't she?
Yeah, it was a minute or so,
and
she stepped up to the wing and just buried one.
So that was big.
Yeah, just the week that the ladies needed after losing that Cobra Stockton game. All the coaches and the players probably felt the same way. Like, man, the wheels are going to come off this bus real quick, and we're going to be in a lot of trouble if we don't sort it out. Peru State, a win you have to have. Come away, not terribly pretty, get it done. And then Central Methodist, definitely not pretty at all.
Road.
But you beat that team, and now you're sitting in a position that if you take care of business where you need to, you're in that position again to possibly get out to Montana. And anything happens when you get to Montana. So anyway.
And also, I just lost my train of thought, but just a big win, a big couple of wins, and. What I was going to say is it's just a big confidence booster for this team. This team, like you mentioned, they were kind of dwindling on that edge there. How is this season going to go? And then to come out and get 2 big wins. That one against Central Methodist, obviously the biggest one of the season this far. And it really just, they're number 27 right now. They're receiving votes in the national poll. So big win. And it kind of just gives them a sense of confidence that they're able to hang and able to compete with these top 10 teams still. We saw it earlier in the year when Columbia came down. He was number 2 at the time, I believe.
Or 9, top 10, whatever.
They were real high. They're not as good this year as they have been.
Yeah, so just gives them it's another good competition with the top 10 team, and this time they came out with a victory, and they were red hot. Was Central Methodist.
And it was the defensive effort, because I feel like Coach Williams has been trying to get that team to play better defensively. They've just not. Sometimes they're on point, then other times they just kind of lose themselves. They're just kind of standing there watching a rebound, and I think that would frustrate a coach. And this game, it was low scoring. It was 9-4 or something at the end of the first quarter, 12-9 middle of the second. Most likely, if it wasn't for overtime, it'd be the lowest scoring game of the year for both teams, probably. But just a good commitment to defense, great shifting, and at the end of the day, knocked down a few shots. And I saw Kate earlier, and I said, going to use this to springboard off of this, and she was like, yeah, that's the plan.
Definitely. All right, on the men's side, I don't know, I said it to somebody, maybe mentioned you, I'm like, watch, the girls had this big win, upset, and then Central Methodist guys are getting better. Our guys are tremendous. Watch, we'll probably end up dropping the men's game, and early on, that's exactly what it looked like, but the guys were able to find a way.
Yeah, Central Methodist, they came out, and they came out hot in that first half, and we were down 19-4, just 5 minutes into the ball game. We kind of struggled on the offensive end a little bit. We actually didn't even hold a lead until the 3:23 mark of the first quarter, and we finally got a or first half, excuse me. Yes, we finally got a go-ahead bucket from Nate Gehring on the fast break. The lead was short-lived, however, and Central Methodist came right back, made a couple shots, and they went in the half with a 34-37 lead. This Statesman team, you know, you can just see it. You know, I wasn't there, but you can see it on the stream or whatever, that they just had confidence. You just knew at the end of the day they were going to get this done. You know, the second half was not easy either. I mean, it was a back and forth battle. It had 11 ties in one half of basketball. They grabbed a lead early in the half. Kamari Newman hit a 3 to make it 39-37. A little 5-0 run there for the Statesmen to open up the half. But CMU regained the lead and held it for a majority of the half. At the 3:50 mark, Eddie Daly hit a corner 3 to give the Statesmen the lead, and that lead they ended up holding for good. So really the final 3.5 minutes of the ball game is when, you know, Statesmen really just turned it on. They just found a way to win and lock it down. You know, it's not many times you go and you trail for all but just a couple minutes to come out with a victory. I mean, it's tough. You know, you've got to keep chipping away, and this team has just such confidence right now that they know at the end of the day that they're going to give themselves a chance to win. They just got to execute. Dexter Hood, again, with 19 points to lead the team. He shot 50% from the field, also grabbed 7 boards. Kevion Blaylock, he narrowly missed his second consecutive double-double. He posted 9 points and team-high 12 rebounds, so he really was going up and rebounding aggressively. Newman had 13 points, and Faison stuffed the stat sheet. He had 8 points, 7 boards, and 4 assists. William Penn had the rebounding edge, 50-37, so once again might have been the difference in the ball game right there, just rebounding the ball, and they were able to force 11 turnovers and commit 10, so they won the turnover battle as well. This victory was the 10th in a row for the States, and they're just really rolling right now. Shot 45% from the field. We're actually outshot from the field, 46%, 45%, so it was really, really close there. Statesmen struggled from beyond the arc. It was just one of those nights where the 3-ball wasn't going, and they shot just 15%. Not something you're accustomed to seeing, especially.
I think they were like 1 out of 15 at one point, or
yeah,
it wasn't that bad, but it was at least 1 out of 10.
Yeah, and Kamari Newman, I mean, he's something we don't see. I mean, he's just about a 90% free throw shooter. He went on a streak there where he missed 4 or 5 straight free throws. That's just not something you see. But they were able to really weather the storm. He came up with a couple key buckets, especially down the stretch. And you know, this team just finds a way to get it done night in, night out. And Coach Henry, super pleased.
Yeah, you know, I look at it as a good thing that we actually got pushed, because we've had so many blowout wins, and
you start putting cruise control.
Just coasting, yeah. So this was good to actually show we can come from behind and then face some adversity against a team that's definitely improving now that they've had their best 2 players back after break, etc. And you know, that was a really good road win, and something that they're.
It's never easy to go down to Fayette, Missouri, and you know.
Couple hours.
Never easy.
And they're tough. They're tough. They're a tough program all across the board.
Really good coach.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah.
Another win, 10 straight for them. They're now 16-1, 10-1 in the heart, number 3 in the nation.
Yeah.
And they're right where they need to be.
Yeah. Definitely rolling. All right. Excuse me. I'll wrap up wrestling, and then you can do track, and you just get to sit there. So. All right, wrestling Central Invitational last Saturday, pretty small crew. Team finished 9th out of 12 overall. Joe Eads, who's going to be on the show in a little bit, he finished 3rd at 149 pounds, goes 3-1. Darkwell Pierre, he finishes 4th at 133 pounds. He went 2-2 overall. You know, just getting the ball rolling here in the second half of the year. So team dealing with some injuries, dealing with you know, some sickness and ineligibility. So you know, we'll see where they go from there as far as a tournament team. But as far as the dual side of things, Benedictine came to town 2 nights ago, and William Penn won 4 out of the 6 matches, and 6 is crazy small because there's 10 weights, but we forfeited 3 times, they forfeited once. Ended up being, 45 minutes? I said, we'll be done in a half hour. I was joking. I didn't think we'd be done in 45 minutes, but we were. But unfortunately, giving up 18 points on those forfeits, just too much overcome. We lost 28-24 to the Ravens. Couple of pins from Joe Eads and Maxwell Diaz at heavyweight. Again, just too much overcome, and lost another hard duel. But some good things that came out of that. I think you know, Coach Scott was pleased, and they're starting to move the ball in the right direction, so to speak. So anyhow, track and field.
Yeah, track and field. They went to Crete, Nebraska to participate in the Doane Ward Haylett Invitational last Saturday. Sage Arisman, he placed third overall in the shot put, highest placing for the men in any event. He also placed sixth overall in the 60-meter dash with a time of 7.14 seconds. So good showing there for Sage. Statesman had 3 top 20 finishers in the 200-meter dash. Jackson Coates placed in the top 10 with a 9th place finish, 23.5 seconds. Dylan Meacham finished 18th with the 24:35 mark, and Percy Burton came in at number 20 with the 24.55 mark. In the hurdles, Fan Alade, he placed 7th overall with a time of 8.92 seconds. He also placed 5th in the high jump. And then on the women's side, really good showing from Shania Newby. She grabbed a pair of 3rd place finishes as she ran in the 60-meter dash in 8.05 seconds and a 200-meter dash in 27.28 seconds. And then just rounding out the women, Michaela Kamek finished 2nd overall in the 800 with a time of 2 minutes 47 seconds and .12. Whatever you call that. Milliseconds.
Yeah, whichever.
Hundreds.
And then in the throws, Shelby Williams was the highest finisher for the Navy and Golden shot put. I don't know why I don't have it in my notes here where she finished, but
It was
I
good.
wrote the story, so
yeah.
finish somewhere.
Yeah, she was up there. She was, and then Elena Van Arsdale, she placed 12th overall in the weight throw.
Yeah. And that was a really small group there that Coach Friesen had. I think he said 1/8. It wasn't 1/8 because it was like 30 some kids that almost competed, but it was a much smaller group there. A lot of potential national qualifiers didn't go, or etc. So again, just getting rolling here in the second half of the year, but just shows the versatility of a guy like Sage Arisman, being able to finish top 5 in shot put, top 5 in a sprint. He's just one of those weird anomaly kids, just a freak athlete. Same thing with Finalade, that he's a really good high jumper, really good hurdler. He can do a little of all that. Shania Newby continuing, she's having a solid freshman campaign, just throwing another really good sprinter out there. That's going to be probably one of our strengths on the women's side. It's going to be the sprints, and it was nice to see her come up again. So can't say a lot about that whole meet just because we didn't have that much going out there, but I think it was a decent start, and there's things to improve upon, but things to build upon too.
Yeah, Coach Friesen, it's kind of what they expected as far as results go. He was pleased that there was a couple PRs for both the men and the women on each side, and he just states that there's a lot of work to do in the next couple weeks, and we'll get into their next event in a little bit.
I was talking to Julian. Honestly, don't really remember his last name.
Davis.
There we go. And he was saying it's hard coming back. I mean, he went home to Alaska, tried to train over the off season, the winter break. Yeah. And it's just hard. There's no trainer. Especially in Alaska. But for everyone, you go home, you eat stuff. Yeah. You maybe run, but you're not training there with Z or Lupe or whoever it might be. So it's hard. But also, side note, I feel like Michaela Kamek, the fact that she's cross country and doing this well at track, that's pretty.
I was going to mention that she actually ran the 200 as well. That shows another kind of weird freak athlete that she's able to be. She was our best cross country runner during the fall. And she also runs a 200. I get an really 800. Yeah. You kind of have that crossover. You're not going to just be, a true cross country person is probably going to only run 3 and 5 and 10,000 meter runs or whatever.
Long ones, yeah.
Yeah, but we got several kind of hybrid people in there that will probably run 800 or whatever, but not as low as 2. When I saw that, I was like, whoa, she's running a 200, and actually didn't run that bad. She beat quite a few people, so she's an athlete.
They just like to run.
Yeah, just like to run. Fast
and slow. Or not slow, but fast and long.
Just run. Just run.
Yeah, definitely. All right, guys. I think that's everything. We'll talk previewing later on. When we come back, we'll have the men's wrestling head coach, Aron Scott, as well as Joe Eads, sophomore out of Morrison, Illinois. So we'll be back in a minute. You're inside the playbook. Welcome back, Statesman Nation, as we are joined now by head men's wrestling coach. Gotta keep on remembering that. Head men's wrestling coach Aron Scott, as well as sophomore Joe Eads out of Morrison, Illinois, correct? I didn't even check that before you came on. I'm like, I'm pretty sure it was Morrison. So thank you guys for coming on for a little bit. Joe, I'll let you sit there and worry a little bit about all my questions. So I'll talk to Coach Scott first. But
All right.
Coach, let's recap this year a little bit up to this point. So preseason and going into where we are right now.
Yeah, I would say, preseason started out really great. I would say one of the best preseasons we've had as far as just the effort and the work of the guys. We really took up the level of our training and the intensity in our training. The guys responded really well. And I would say that we've really seen that pay off here in the last few weeks as we've been competing and noticing that we're not getting tired. We are better conditioned than our opponents. And that's something that we don't necessarily have to focus on as much right now. We know that we've put in that work. We've are well conditioned. We just got to keep that. We don't have to put in a lot of that extra work, wear our bodies down into a long season. So that preseason really helped set us up to where we are. Looking to peak at the right time. The first half of the year was pretty good. We didn't necessarily compete the way that we wanted to. Could have done a few things better, but I would say after the break and into last weekend and our duel against Benedictine, our guys are wrestling really well, and I would say we're starting to again peak at the right time. We want to make sure our bodies are feeling good and we're wrestling the way that we want to wrestle coming into the second half of the season, which is the most important. And then the duel Tuesday night, even though the results didn't come out the way that we wanted to, I would say that we wrestled extremely well and had some of the guys on the team to step up and overcome some adversity with the team, with some injuries and sicknesses and eligibilities. Dark ball bumping up to 141, making it happen, doing what it takes, and then Joe getting a pin against a pretty tough guy. That kid's been in the top 20 before, national qualifier. So it's he didn't go out there and just pin an average person. He pinned a good guy, which we're really excited about. I think our guys wrestled really well. So I would say, as far as us as a coaching staff, we're excited and happy with where we're at right now. We're right where we need to be.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, you already talked about the Benedictine duel, so we can skip that. Joe, we'll go over to you for a second. Talk about your background in wrestling a little bit. How you got into it? Was it dad? Was it grandpa? Was it friends that liked wrestling and it just kind of stuck?
It was the whole family. Started when I was like 2.5, right around that age. Been doing it my entire life, every year. All the family. I got my uncle's the head coach of a high school wrestling team, so he's been there and taken me. My dad's traveled with me all the national tournaments to get me to where I'm at.
Yeah.
And then all the coaches along the way too. And same thing. We got a wrestling mat in our basement, so we're always wrestling. I've even had my older sisters wrestled before, so it's in the family.
Very cool. Well, we'll talk about women's wrestling in a second, but before that, talk about why you chose William Penn a couple years ago. I mean, you were actually technically in your third year here, redshirted last year, but let's talk about why William Penn when you were coming out of high school.
Well, at first it wasn't even on the radar, but then it came up. My uncle did come here. He wrestled here, played football here. Figured, hey, I got to give it a shot. And once I showed up, talked to the coaches and talked to the staff here, I knew right away that it was a place that I was going to like.
Yeah, definitely.
Anywhere else.
Cool. Talk about your what you learned from your redshirt year, because if I remember right, injury, right, and that's what forced you into your redshirt. So, taking a year off, basically, at least competition. You gain a different perspective on wrestling. What did you come into this year knowing a little bit more about?
Not taking advantage of the sport. Like I said, I've been doing it for 18 years and never got injured once.
Yeah.
Been able to wrestle every single year. The redshirt year was different for me, not being able to wrestle. I knew going in this year now, not take advantage and take every opportunity into consideration. And basically, that was a learning year. Didn't cut weight, just went up to 149. I was 141. Just went up to 49 and just got to wrestle and let loose at the end there in the second half.
Yeah, definitely. All right, Coach, let's talk about Joe a little bit. Give me your coaching perspective on your 149 pounder.
Yeah, I would say Joe's made some significant strides and growth and maturity over from where he was ending his first year here as a freshman, going through his redshirt year into now. He's just really grown a lot as a wrestler and also as a leader. He's one of the more vocal guys on the team. I think he's respected and has kind of fell in and taken that leadership role, holding the team accountable, leading the team, and leading by example. I think he's one of the perfect guys for that. He's good in the classroom. He's a good student. He's a hard worker in the the weight room, wrestling room, just being a vocal and well respected. I'd say he's someone that every coach looks for and wants in a program, and he's a competitor. And no matter what, whether we're playing dodgeball or spike ball or wrestling, but that desire to win is important, and overall great kid and a good person that we want in our program and leading our program.
All right. Before we talk about the final things and kind of wrap up, what the expectations are for the rest of the year. As Joe alluded to, talking about women's wrestling, we recently hired our first ever women's wrestling coach, Tucker Black. I know you've got a little background with him, etc. But let's just talk about women's wrestling in general and how exciting it is that's growing and how that's building up just wrestling in general. And maybe I know you see the headlines. Wrestling was, I think it was a story a couple weeks ago. Wrestling's about to die, and then the women decided to come in, and then all of a sudden now it's at least on the women's side it's very popular. You think that's going to turn the trend on the men's side as well? That people will start doing men's wrestling again, or just overall it's exciting, I think, for wrestling.
Yeah, I think it really is exciting. It's great for the sport, that it continues to grow. More families are getting involved into the sport of wrestling. I think it's going to be great for William Penn. There's just going to be more William Penn wrestling fans in general, and I think we can help feed off each other and build, and just get more families involved. When we're talking about women's wrestling and maybe helping that grow on the men's side, I could see that. If you've got a family and your daughter wants to wrestle, and you're going to a tournament, then maybe in practices, maybe your boy and girl do it at the same time. Right. So will it help grow the men's? I could see that. I don't know if we'll fully know how much of an impact it will have, but I think it's just bringing more light to wrestling. But it's a tough sport, and not everybody can do it. So I think it will always maybe struggle with keeping up number-wise with some of the other sports. But women's wrestling, I think, is great, and I'm excited that girls have the opportunity to wrestle. I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, definitely. All right, Joe, back to you one more time. Wrestling really well as of late. I don't know what your recent record is, but undefeated at the Missouri Valley Duels, picked up a Penn here, third place last week as well. What are your expectations for the rest of the year going forward here? You're right there on the cusp of being the national qualifier. What are you hoping to do?
Keep it rolling and get to the big stage and All-American. That's been the plan all along, and just got to keep on getting better every day in the practice room. That's where it's going to start, and keep the ball rolling and get to that big stage.
Okay, awesome. Coach, on the bigger picture of the whole team, what are the expectations the rest of the year with you guys, trying to get some people healthy again and, work around all that, hoping to, obviously, like you said, finish strong and be your best at the end of February?
Yeah, so I would say that our expectations is that we want to continue to get better and make, help these guys become the best that they're capable of becoming. And peaking at the right time. I think, our focus is, we're probably going to be a little bit more of an individual tournament team right now, more than a dual team right now, just because we have some really strong individuals and lack of depth at some of our open weight in the open weights and the upper weights here. So I think where we're going to shine is maybe this weekend with the strong individuals and and do the best we can. Hopefully we can have maybe 3 or 4 national qualifiers and go on and maybe make some noise at the national tournament. But we're just focused on this weekend right now. Missouri Valley Invite is basically a mini national tournament. Has 35, 40 teams there, and many of them are the top teams in the NAIA. So this is a good measuring stick of where we're at right now, and going to help these guys know where they need to be later on. We're going to see some good guys. So our expectations is that we're going to take it day by day and get better every single day, and continue to work hard, focus on staying healthy, eating right, taking care of our bodies, and getting it done.
Yeah, definitely. All right, Coach. And Joe, best of luck the rest of the year. You guys are at the Missouri Valley Invite tomorrow and Saturday. Then you kind of have a lighter week where then you're back to action next weekend. But once again, Coach Aron Scott, of the head men's wrestling coach here, William Penn, as well as sophomore Joe Eads out of Missouri. I said Missouri. Wow. Morrison, Illinois. So thank you guys so much. Best of luck the rest of the year.
Thanks for having us, Wade.
Bunch of games coming up this weekend, early next week, so we'll get right to it. Women's basketball and men's basketball both going up to Cedar Rapids on Saturday, hoping, I guess, weather permitting, we'll see. I think that'll be fine. All the weather's supposed to be on Friday, but we'll see. Either way, the women, Mount Mercy, not a strong team, not beating them up at all, but they're just not very strong. At other end of the standings, so no gimmies in the heart. Got to show up and beat everybody, and let's not take a huge Central Methodist win and then end up losing to a bottom half team, a very low team of Mount Mercy. So just keep the ball rolling and take the momentum from last night. And on next Wednesday, huge matchup. One of several. There's just so many really good teams, about 6 or 7 teams that could possibly make the national tournament out of the Heart this year. And one of them is Mid-American Nazarene, and they're coming to town next Wednesday. Both teams receiving votes. We're literally right next to each other, 27, they're 28. We got crushed by them 2 months ago, 68-48. So we're going to be looking for some revenge. They're scuffling as of late, so could be one that hopefully we can get the win. We've done really well against MNU over the last few years. Coach Williamson has really figured them out, and hopefully again build off momentum from what this last 2 games were, and we can keep winning and keep moving up the standings.
Yeah, just look for them to just continue to kind of put it together, and they have a lot of confidence right now. Let's just keep using that confidence and keep plugging away. Get hot at the right time. And I believe this team can really just get hot at the right time, and we could see a streak like we saw last year.
Yeah.
Of them running and running through the conference tournament and into nationals. So
yeah. Talk about the men.
The men, they'll be playing Mount Mercy. Not a particularly strong team, but they're good. They're capable.
Yeah, they always give us fits a little bit.
They're 9-8 overall, 4-7 in the Heart, so it's kind of struggle in the Heart play. The Statesmen will have to keep their eyes on Dennis McKinney. He's a forward, averaging 17.6 points per ball game for them. He dropped 39 on CMU last week, so the guy can fill it up, and he can fill it up in bunches. And then Wednesday, Mid-Am. This is the one that they've had circled for a few weeks now, ever since they took that loss.
The only loss of the year.
Only loss of the year, 99-94, back on November 20th. Mid-Am now second place in the conference. Behind us, they're 12-5 overall, 8-3 in the Heart. Got to watch for them. Dakota Quinn, he's one of the premier shot blockers in the entire NAIA. He has 61 blocks in the season, 4 blocks per game. The guy can just get it done. And we actually...
And he didn't do anything against us last time. It was other people that did it. It wasn't him.
Anthony Brown, I believe his name is, or Anthony Johnson. Anthony Brown.
I think it was Anthony Brown.
Hometown kid from out there. He had himself a career night against us. And then... but we had them right where we wanted. We got Dakota Quinn in some foul trouble. He was forced to miss a majority of the first half and some of the second. And just one that Statesman kind of let get away. And I have a feeling we'll be a lot better this time around, particularly at home. It's always hard to go down to Mid-Am. They've got a tough environment to play in. One of the longer trips of the season.
Yeah.
And you have KB on the lineup this time around where they didn't have him the first game.
Yeah.
So who knows if that plays a difference in that. I mean, you're out without Q, so maybe that's kind of a
right.
Yeah,
Watch
and,
for
and,
that.
and once again, they have some size. They have 2 or 3 guys that can really match up with us well, and maybe inserting some size with KB might really be able to make a difference and propel the Statesman to victory this time around.
Yeah, could be. Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, that'll be next Wednesday. Not jumping past Saturday, but next Wednesday's doubleheader at home is going to be a fun one for sure.
get out there and watch that. Should be fun.
Heck yeah. And then wrestling. I'm not sure, I guess, if they're going to the Minnesota West Open as well on Saturday with the rest of the team. I don't think so, just knowing, we're a little slim on the roster size right now. But for sure, the top guys will be going to Missouri Valley down in Marshall tomorrow and Saturday. A huge tournament like Coach Scott had mentioned. We're going to find out who we are and if we in fact have some guys that can possibly make the Nationals. They're going to have to finish high there and build some confidence and get a higher seeding going into the conference tournament later on next month and stuff. So that's where the guys are, and then they've got a little bit of time off again. So
Yeah, and then Saturday, track and field going to the Central Dutch Athletics Classic in Pella, just a few miles away.
Yep.
We'll see what they can do there. Kind of take Sage taking that momentum, Shania Newby, see if we have more of a full squad.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll have a lot
there.
more people there.
And to see what they can do there. And then Tuesday, men's volleyball finally getting it going against Clark. First game in history inside the pack.
Yep.
I'm sure it's going to be a packed house. Should be a packed house. If anybody watching wants to get
come
out, I
out.
highly
It's gonna
encourage
be-
you to
it's
get
gonna be a
out.
lot
It's
of
going to be
fun.
awesome. If anybody went to any of the women's volleyball games this year, just a lot of high energy.
Yeah.
I expect that to be the same for men's. Men's very much quicker pace game, a lot harder hits, a lot
higher.
I mean,
Yeah.
It's going to be exciting, and I know Coach Bentley and his fellows are ready.
Yeah, definitely. That'll be a lot of excitement there, and hopefully they can get out and win that first one right out of the gate and build some momentum.
And
for their
Clark,
program.
we're starting off the conference matchup, so good
And
win.
he's got some history with Clark,
Yeah,
having been an assistant coach prior to coming here. So, just kind of a cool start to men's volleyball here at William Penn. All right.
And then rounding it out, bowling this weekend. They're at the Kegel, or Kegel.
Kegel,
yeah. ISBPA Midway Collegiate Shootout out in Addison, Illinois. They had a couple really good tournaments down in Vegas. The men especially really bowled well. Got some hardware at one of the 2 tournaments. So chance for them to get going in the new year and take that momentum and keep going with it as they slowly, as there's plenty of months left in their season, get ready for the more important matches as they try and see where they stack up compared to Hart teams and some of the other big national programs.
Yeah, it is a long season for sure, but they are definitely on the back end, sliding down. I think there's maybe like 2 more meets and 2 more tournaments, and basically they have sectionals, but it's stretched out a little bit. But hopefully, they can carry that momentum from over the holidays. That was a couple of great events for both teams, and we're back in the mix of being one of the contenders, both NAI as well as USBC. So, Coach Brooks has the guys and the ladies definitely believing in themselves. So. Hopefully they'll have a good showing there, and definitely one of the weirdest named tournaments out there. But
whatever
it's totally
ISBPA stands for.
Something Illinois and
Bowling
Association thing. It's whatever. But anyhow, So best of luck to all of our teams. I think we got everything covered, guys. Yeah. Okay. So until next week. Possibility that somewhere down the road we might be back in the Oskaloosa News Studio, but until then, join us here in Pack 210. We will continue to bring you all of the great action, recaps, and previews of Statesman Athletics. Definitely check everything out at statesmanathletics.com. So until next week, for Jared and Justin, I'm Wade. Go Statesman.
Peace.